Alright people, Mike Alden here again. Welcome back to another Like A Dragon Ishin video. Today I'm doing the ultimate challenge, the boss rush mode, the challenge 5 of the ultimate challenge. The final thing I have to do to get the platinum. The first couple of fights really aren't that bad. Mainly what you want to do, in my opinion, is stick to the wild dancer for most of these fights. Just abuse the dodge with X, keep spinning away from people's attacks, and try to get through the bosses until the final boss, taking as little damage as possible. A lot of people I've seen, they like to store up all their heat, like go into the final boss with like five bars of heat or whatever you want to call it. But for me, I just used the heat move if I felt I was going to start taking damage, and I just wanted to end these first couple of fights as quickly as possible. So I just really used the heat move on this guy, put his health down quite a lot. Other people, maybe they want to prefer going the slow way, just taking your time and getting to the final boss that way. But at this point, I'd been doing this challenge maybe 5 or 6 times. I was getting a bit annoyed that I was losing in the final fight so often, and having to redo this whole boss rush mode again. And I realised what was really making me feel was that I was having a lack of health in the final fight. And it seemed to stem from the fact that I was refusing to use the heat moves until I got to the final fight. So I decided to alter course from that method and just use heat moves whenever I felt I needed to. And then the final fight, it is still pretty tough. Even if you go in with a lot of health, you can still start making mistakes. But really, all these other bosses, it's all just sort of the same thing. Just abuse the wild dancer spin dodge. Try to get behind them and lay into them when they make a big miss with one of their attacks. Obviously, when this guy's glowing purple, he starts doing that whirlwind attack. It's a good idea to get away from him when he's doing that. Again, he was nearly beat here, so I decided I would just finish him off quickly, try to use a heat move to get quite a lot of his health down, because I felt I was at a risk of taking some damage off him now that he was in the glowing purple mode or whatever. So I don't know why my dodge didn't work there, but I managed to take a hit from the whirlwind, which annoyed me, but it wasn't too bad. Who's the next fight? Oh yeah. This one isn't too bad either. Again, same strategy, wild dancer. Just dodge around, abuse the square button. If you're far enough away from them, they risk getting off a shot with the gun and you think you can hit them, go for it. Again, once I built up the heat move, I was just like, I want to get through this as quickly as possible. And that heat move did some real damage to him. And that ended that fight with me taking barely any damage as well. Now the risky fight. This one, of course, you have to do it barehanded. It can be annoying, but what I did really was just get in a few hits and then run away. It's kind of tedious. There's maybe quicker ways to do it, but this was the safest way to get through this fight, I thought. Wait until he winds up to do an attack, and he's quite slow, so you can read his moves pretty easily and get out of the way, and then just charge up behind him, or do more damage if you get him in the back. But as long as you're getting in a few hits somewhere, and only do like 3 or maybe 4 punches before moving out of the way so you don't get grabbed or hit by a big charged up attack, because he really does hit like a truck on this ultimate challenge mode. It'll take like 100 or 200 HP off you, and you really don't want to be doing that at this point in the fight or the boss rush mode. Excuse me, because you've made it so far with quite a lot of health if you've been having a good run, and you really don't want to lose it on this fight, because once you have the method of dodging out of the way, he really can't hit you as long as you have the timing down. So it is a shame to take any damage against this guy, because he is one of the simpler fights to get through. It is just a matter of patience, this fight. Again, maybe other people have devised some other methods to get through this quicker. And I know I said I like to use heat moves, but on this one, I decided it was time to charge up some heat, and really don't waste it against him. The next round, it's sort of a breather round. They put you against this idiot who really can't hit you at all. He's really just here as an excuse for the game to allow you to build up at least 1 heat meter at this part of the stage if you haven't got any, just as a little bit of a helping hand if you've made it that far. This guy can be annoying. I did want to try and not use any heat moves on him, because this is the penultimate fight before the final boss, who is really the one you want to save heat moves for if you have been saving them. But I think, again, I started to take a little bit of damage. I was getting worried, so when I seen him starting to glow yellow, I was like, okay, I'll whip out the heat moves, and that took him down. So I had 2 meters of heat left for the final boss. It's not amazing, but it was enough to help me out here. Again, start off with a wild dancer. I decided to use the heat moves early, just want to get his health down as quickly as possible. They do a lot less damage to this guy than the rest of the bosses. But yeah, I was just trying to spam them, get as much of a helping hand as I could. This here mode where he's sort of glowing like greeny yellow sort of color, he can be quite dangerous. He does a lot of damage to me in this mode, because I kept getting stun locked by one of his moves that I didn't dodge out of the way of in time. That there lightning move, watch out for that. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it is annoying. Watch out for when he's jumping, because he's gonna fire his gun at you, and that can be annoying. The main thing is still abuse that wild dancer dodge. Try to get behind him, get hits on his back. Watch out for that attack, it stun locks me and I fall into it quite a few times. Lightning attack again, I just couldn't get out of the way of it. Walked right into this annoying stun attack again. Managed to pull off another heat move. I think this one did a little bit more damage than the other ones, because there was more to this heat move. So maybe you want to try and pull that one off more than the other one. I think at this point I accidentally swapped to just the sword, but it was actually sort of beneficial, because when he's in this red state, you still block his moves if you have the straight sword, or you just have the sword out. I do end up going back to the wild dancer because I was like, his health's really far down. I think I can just abuse wild dancer again. But it is worth keeping in mind at this point, if you're got a good bit of health and you want to try fighting him straight up with the sword, it isn't the worst idea because you can block a lot of his moves. So I went into Wild Dancer, built up some heat, pulled out the heat move again, and again you'll see what really got me through this fight was because I saved so much health from all the other boss fights, and that's really why for me I think having health in the final boss fight is more important than having a lot of heat moves. But it could depend on what you like to do, what your play style is. But that's how I got through this, and this was the final thing I needed for the platinum